Welcome to this tutorial on the human impacts of people on flooding. We're here in the Lee Valley, and there are a series of aids complementary to this tutorial which you'll be able to refer to. It would perhaps be useful initially now to turn to the aerial photograph of this area on the Lee Valley and the city of Cork. The Lee Valley that you can see spread out before you is essentially a formerly glaciated valley with steep side slopes, and if you look the valley sides now show a series of terracets showing soil flow down those former glacial valley sides. If we were here 20,000 years ago, the climate of course would be very different. It would be full glacial Arctic conditions, and where we're standing would be in the middle of an ice mass, perhaps 150 metres to 200 metres thick. So this valley of the Lee is a glacial trough, as we would see like in the Gap of Dunlow in the Kerry Mountains. Today, as you look at it, it's a very different landscape. It's one of a river floodplain with the classic features of the floodplain. The river meanders as the channel shifts its shape through the valley. So it's a very typical situation for river valleys within the country today. What you can also see that's typical is the impact of people on this landscape. Before us, the hedges and ditches of the farmed landscape. This area particularly is a regional park. It's a very important recreational zone where the whole landscape is utilised by people for varieties of functions. In the far distance you can see Cork filling that river valley. The impact of people in the past has been noted by these meanders, this natural changing shape of the valley being regularised. The valley being straightened, the channels within the valleys being straightened, the channels being deepened to allow boats to go to the old industries like the powder mills, the big gunpowder mills at Ballincollig, which we can see behind us. Now these reconstructions, the ice reconstructions, you will find on some visuals, three-dimensional models of the valley and the ice thickness in the valley. If we also stay with that theme of going back in time, if we were here 3,000 years ago, it would not be a farmed landscape. It would be very much one of natural woodland vegetation, with oak and alder trees, rather like the Gira used to be at Macroom, 20 kilometres away from us, filling the whole valley with shrubby woodland, and the rivers would have been winding its way through that former woodland. Now the effect of that type of vegetation completely gone, with the exception of just a few hedgerow trees which were planted recently. That vegetation would have slowed the river down. The different sorts of vegetation communities, the boglands that filled these valleys too, would have absorbed the water. So what's happened today is that the vegetation's been removed, the landscape has become a farmed landscape. We have built large areas of urban housing development with concrete, and the water of course comes off that impermeable surface and flows directly into those channels. The effect then, removal of vegetation, increasing urbanisation, more roads, is that the water runs off much faster than it used to do. With the result of course that flooding with regular increases of water level. Here in Cork it's a little different than other places because we have a coastal setting, and the result of storms raises those flood levels even higher. The sea, the waves come in and force the water higher. But the principle remains the same. The impact of people has been to speed up the flow of water, resulting, particularly where we have places filling valleys, the result is increasing floodiness.